Mandy, we're here. How we doing?
We're great. We're great. Amani, you look like you're in a prison cell. Where are you? Where are you?
I'm on. I'm on screen. I'm on location. We'll say I'm on location in Sacramento, California, and getting ready to DJ opening reception for an association this evening, and then speak tomorrow morning.
What are you going to speak on? What is this your charter schools group or who are you going to speak
Yes,
to? What are you going to
yes.
speak about?
So I'm gonna talk about the book. I'm probably gonna speak about like education and music education because I'm in front of a bunch of educators. So that's the goal, to talk to them about education and
Mhm.
just show them how even in the music industry is still very valuable.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And we've got a little bit of a book elephant in the room that I have to congratulate you publicly for, Amani. So take your flowers because you last week became a USA Today best-selling author. I'm so proud
Yes,
of
yes,
you.
yes. Thank you.
So
Thank you. I wish I had applause. I wish I had the
congratulations.
applause for me there.
I know. I'll do it. It'll be loud.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
So
you. We're here. So
congratulations. I
appreciate
know
it.
you've worked so hard on that. That's awesome.
Yes, yes. Worked very hard. So just really happy and just excited to see what the future has. And this is a good example of when hard work does pay off. So I'm just very happy and honored. Yeah, yeah.
Happy for you too.
So I think I want to let you kind of talk to us about how you met these two individuals that we're going to meet and talk to today, and how much of an impact they've had on you so far.
Oh, Monty, that's a nice introduction. I don't think we've done that yet.
Ah,
Okay. So we are talking to two people from PVOLVE. Now, I want to introduce our guests first, and then I'll tell a little bit story about PVOLVE and with the impact. But we have the director of operations for PVOLVE San Diego. We have Sarah Koenig, and we have the franchise owner for PVOLVE San Diego, all the locations in PVOLVE San Diego. We have Kirstin Keohane. I did it again, Kirstin Keohane. Did I do it? Okay, yes. You're both on mute. You're both on mute.
so
Hi.
unmute.
Yes.
Hi. Welcome to the show, Sarah and Kirsten. It's so good to see you and be with you here. And thank you for just everything you do with PVOLVE. So I'm just going to tell a quick PVOLVE story of, and for those of you listening, it's PVOLVE, PVOLVE. For those of you watching, you can just see the ticker on the bottom and see PVOLVE. But I actually got acquainted with PVOLVE because of Maria Disla. So Maria Disla, who was actually one of our very first guests here on the show almost 3 years ago, when she was the founder of Pure Indoor Cycling. She now, as I'm sure you know, is a wellness influencer, and she
Mhm.
was like, "You have to go to this thing. It's PVOLVE," and she did all these pictures and movements and everything. And she's never strayed me wrong. I show up to the places she says show up to. And I went and tried this thing. I had never had a workout like that in my life. And not only did I not have a workout like that, it was caring and clean and beautiful. And the acoustics were good. And the instructors, Sarah, I think you were my first instructor. The instructors were like, they really, sometimes you go to a new class and you feel nervous because you're like, I don't know anybody here. I have no idea what this thing is. I did not feel like that at all. It was one of the few workout classes I've ever been to where I felt really welcomed, and everybody was like, yeah, it's new to all of us. Like, let's figure this out together. So just thank you for creating that community and that environment. It's really changed a lot of how I look at like my personal physical fitness and wellness and my posture and everything. So just thank you.
I love that. Thanks for
Thank you for
sharing.
having us. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so before we go into the business of PVOLVE, like what the heck is PVOLVE? What is it, and why are people doing it right now?
Yeah. So PVOLVE is a lot of things, and I could probably explain PVOLVE for this full hour, but to keep it short and sweet, we're a functional movement. So we're taking the body through movements that you see in your day to day to help you move more efficiently and to help you feel better. And we do that through tackling mobility, stability, and strength. So those are the three things. We have multiple class formats that have different focuses that help you with different things, from cardiovascular health to building muscle to improving mobility. But at the end of the day, PVOLVE is there for you to feel better in your body longer, to live independently longer, and to look good too. All of them. PVOLVE is all encompassing. I'm always like, you can cross train under one roof, baby.
Now tell me about there's bands, there's balls, there's weights. Like, tell me about the different contraptions that are involved that you don't normally see in a class.
So we have 13 different pieces of equipment, and we have a handful of pieces that are familiar. You might see them in other workout classes, like ankle weights, ankle bands, light hand weights, heavy hand weights. But what's really unique is our proprietary equipment that you'll only get to see when you walk into a PVOLVE studio, and that is our P-ball. I'll grab them in a second because they're literally right behind me. I'll let Kirstin talk for a little bit. But P-ball, P-band for our upper body and posture. We've got our P3 trainer, which it's almost like a Pilates reformer, but minus the reformer. It like does the same thing, which is cool. And then we have our slant board, which is not proprietary. People who have gone through physical therapy might have seen the slant board to help work the ankles, feet, and glutes. But those pieces of equipment is what really sets us apart, because it really helps you work the body in every nook and cranny. Like working muscles you didn't know you could use to like lift something off the ground or to walk over the curb. So lots of equipment. It can be intimidating. I always tell people, like, if you are trying PVOLVE for the first time, it might take you 3 to 10 classes to feel confident, and that is completely normal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you go get the ball. I do have a question. I do have a question for Kirstin. So, Kirstin, you've been quoted saying PVOLVE is unlike any workout in the wellness market. Like, what makes it so different?
I think for me, it would be the focus on the hips and the glute. I think that the glute is the biggest muscle in your body, and a lot of other modalities, in my opinion, don't place as much focus in that. So with PVOLVE, the first movement that you do is hinge back, where you are pulling your hips back and really loading the glutes. For me personally, I'm very quad dominant. So when I was doing workouts in the past and running, all of the muscles will recruit, your body will recruit whatever muscles it needs to get what you're trying to do done. So when I was running, my glutes were weak and they became dormant. So everything was stemming from my quads. So PVOLVE is one of the methods that has really helped me connect to my glutes. I mean, there's been like perks of connecting to my glutes because my butt is actually like a little more lifted, but it helps my hip. Like, I had such bad hip pain because everything was stemming from my quads. So for me, that's the grounding principle that PVOLVE does differently. I think other modalities focus on like abs and they're working on the total body, but PVOLVE, for me, the only two things I'm thinking about every class are engaging the glutes and focusing on my abs. And just focusing on those two things has changed my body and taken away all the pain that I had before, my hip pain. So that's to me what PVOLVE does differently.
I love that. It's a great differentiator. I don't know many classes that can say like, these are the two areas that they focus on. So it's a great explanation. Thank you.
I would like to go back to the beginning. I'm going to reverse roles with Mandy here. How did you two first meet, and how did you get involved or get exposed to PVOLVE initially? And I'll let Sarah answer first, and then we'll go to Kirstin. I'm going to keep practicing.
Fun. So I grew up dancing and had a friend that I grew up dancing with. Her name is Maeve, and she was one of the founding trainers for PVOLVE. I don't actually know her role off the top of my head for PVOLVE now, but she was like a part of the beginning, and she was doing Instagram live workouts over the pandemic. And I took one class on her Instagram and then bought all of the equipment. Was like, this is my work from home workout. So I started there. I moved to LA for a different opportunity. And all of a sudden there was a PVOLVE studio that was opening up 10 minutes from my apartment. I was like, oh, I get to go try. It was weird. It was strange. Like I had no idea the studio was there. And went, I had already had a lot of on-demand classes under my belt, and then took a class at the studio, became a member, was a member for a handful of months. And I was so like, PVOLVE is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life when it comes to working out. I will not, it's just such an incredible workout, and I feel so connected to my body. I was like, I want to be doing more of this. So then I asked Danny Coleman, who was the head trainer of the LA studio at the time, and now she has a much broader role within the company. But I was like, are you guys hiring for trainers? So then I became a trainer over there, had goals to move to San Diego. And that's when I met Kirstin. They were like, well, guess what? The first franchise is opening up in San Diego. It was like timing is so weird. And it happened multiple times with PVOLVE. And so we met for lunch, and then the rest is history. Now two studios in San Diego, Del Mar and La Jolla, and just trying to share with everyone in San Diego to come take classes. So that's how I found PVOLVE, and that's how I met with Kirstin.
I feel like the universe like cleared a path.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
For sure.
It's like it just kept guiding you and guiding you and guiding you. That's beautiful. That's a great story.
My turn. Okay.
Your turn. Go ahead. Go for it.
So I am actually an accountant by trade. So I went to school, majored in accounting. I worked at one of the big 4 accounting firms for 8 years, moved into a publicly traded company, was the director of finance there, and was loving my corporate life. And then my parents actually moved to California. We're originally from Canada. And they were going back and forth for a while. And my dad called me and said, Kirstin, I don't think we're going to come back. I was like, honestly, fair. Like California weather, everything, can't beat it. So my husband got an opportunity to go into business with my dad. So we moved down, and I always knew I wanted to start my own thing. My dad is an entrepreneur as well, as multiple different businesses, and that path always excited me, and I knew we wanted to start a family. So I wanted something with a little bit more flexibility. And my husband said, like, you seem to have a knack for the fitness world. Like if you're looking at what industry to go into, like I was doing the Kayla Itzen workouts when it was an ebook, and like we were all printing each other's, like I had my little paper at the gym, and I was doing Peloton when they were doing like buy one get 3 free, and my whole family was in on my one Peloton account, which was wild. And just I just seemed to have a way of finding these workout programs. So then when I started doing PVOLVE, I was doing it online because they have a really big online platform, and that's actually where the brand was born. And I told my husband, like, there's something here. This is unlike anything I've ever done before. And like going back to what I said about the glutes, like my hip pain disappeared. I was walking better. And I was so connected to my body. I could feel what muscles I wanted to engage when I was doing a particular movement. So I got hit with a franchising email right around the time when we were looking to move. And I said, okay, the stars are aligning. This is what I'm supposed to do. So I met with the PVOLVE team, and the rest is history. So first ever franchise for PVOLVE. I think they've now got over 60 in the works, but La Jolla was the first.
Okay. So I'm gonna stay with Kirstin. I'm saying it right. I'm gonna keep practicing,
Yeah.
and then I'm coming to you, Sarah. But for Kirstin, how did you get the courage to leave a big 4 accounting firm stability to go out on your own and franchise in kind of a tenuous time to be a franchisee?
I mean, I think I thought I knew way more than I did. So I thought I was invincible. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. This is the next big thing. And I honestly think it was probably it worked in my favor, because I don't know if I would have had the courage to do it if I had known everything. But I mean, like, once you're in it, you just roll up your sleeves and you just do what you got to do. And so I think maybe a little bit of naivety is what got me here. But it's, you know what, I wouldn't change it for the world. I've grown so much over the past 2 years, and being a small business owner is just, I don't think it's to me, it's kind of like having a kid. I don't think you can actually, like, no one can fully understand until you start going through it. Really how crazy the roller coaster is, but it's very rewarding.
I agree with that. Nobody can understand unless you're in it. Unless you're in it. I hear you.
Understand. Yeah. Now, Sarah, you know, I'm a fan of spontaneous purchases. Most of mine are electronic. But you just went right out and got the equipment and went for it. What was it about the workout that was like, you know, I got to do this. This is mine?
I had gone, so I think the first class, let me think. I haven't been asked this question before. The movements felt so good in my body, and I had gone through ups and downs of over exercising, like thinking I had to do XYZ to obtain whatever goals that I had. And PVOLVE just felt so good. Like, I knew in my body, like, this is the movement I have been looking for. Like, I don't have to run X amount of miles or be on a stationary bike for whatever and like feel tired and drained and like also not loving the result. So I knew after the first class, I was like, wow, I felt really challenged. I really loved this equipment. Or I really loved the workout without the equipment. And what I had thought of was, what is this with equipment? Because I was doing the no equipment, obviously, because I didn't have it yet. And it was that much better. Like, wow. And this is what it's like with added resistance. So I think just the movement patterns and how, and this is something that PVOLVE still hones in on, is just the clarity of cueing from the trainer too. Maeve made it so clear as to, you are doing this to obtain this. You are working in the glutes so you can get your booty off the couch with ease when you're 80 years old. You are rotating your hips inward because you want to be able to pivot direction. And that was motivation for me. I wanted to feel better. I knew that I would be more confident in my body. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to spend I think it was like $600 for all of the equipment. I was like, this is worth it.
It's funny that you say that, Sarah, because that is when anybody asks me about PVOLVE, I say the exact same thing that you say in class. I'm like, if you want to get out of the car without grunting, go to PVOLVE. If you want to reach the highest possible part of your cupboard or your pantry with ease and without pulling a lat muscle, go to PVOLVE. And I got that from you. Like, you do, I can see how you would get that from me, because you do make it very clear. Like, when you do this, here's literally the functional thing in your life that this will impact. So I wonder if you both.
Before you ask your question, Mandy, I got to give a shout out to Tanya Buzalski. Hope I say your last name right. Thank you for tuning in. She's also a big fan of PVOLVE. So carry on, Mandy. Thank you.
Yeah, and Tanya, drop other questions in the chat if you have them. Anybody else that's out there, I know I forgot to say it at the beginning. Drop whatever questions you have. We've got a captive director of operations and a franchise owner here that I'm sure will answer any of your questions. But I want to hear about the Jennifer Aniston link, because I think, you know, all of the imagery, some of the marketing shows Jennifer Aniston doing all these moves and sweating. And what is her link to this? What is her involvement in it?
I mean, that is her connection is more with the brand as a whole. Although if she wants to come to PVOLVE San Diego, we would for sure accommodate that. But I guess from conversations that I've had, she was quietly streaming behind the scenes and got connected with one of her friends was doing the workout, and she asked her, like, what have you been doing? Like, you look incredible. And so she was streaming under like an alias name, and then all of a sudden reached out to the our founder, Rachel Katzman, and they got connected, and now she's essentially the face of the brand and does workouts, but I don't know.
She like works out privately with Danny Coleman. So Danny Coleman is her trainer, and she has struggled with back pain. And so she was just fired up that she could work out, not feel pain, and not continue to just push herself to injury to have to start over. She was like, I can get a killer workout in a short amount of time, effectively, efficiently. And I think similarly, like, I think the quote that's on our TV outside the studio is she had never worked out like this before, and she wanted more people to know about it. And so that's why she got involved, is to get more eyes and ears on PVOLVE because of her experience.
Well, that did the trick for sure. Because a lot of people are like, it's Jennifer Aniston's company. And I know it's not. Like, there's some sort of other arrangement, but it did the trick. Like, I think it probably gets a lot of people through the doors. If nothing else, it gets them through the doors, and then you all make them fall in love with it. I want to go, Sarah, I want to ask you, because we have in our audience, we have a lot of operators, whether that's hospitality or whether that is different industries. We have just a lot of operators in general. And obviously operating a facility, right? It's not just the physical opening and the closing of the doors and the turning on and off the lights, right? There's memberships, there's sales, there's marketing, there's staff interactions. So like, you have so many highs and lows as an operator, I'm sure. It's like, I just want to, like, last week, like, what was a high and what was a low you had as a director of operations of multiple facilities?
Fun question. Well, I mean, as an operator, like, I think that anytime you're in a leadership position, it's like people driven first. So you're managing people to be able to get the things done you need to get done. And having a clear vision, I think clear vision and clear expectations for the people around you is what is key. Otherwise, you're just knocking at a door expecting something without telling them that you're coming. Mm-hmm. You're like at the front door knocking, and they're like, oh, you didn't invite me, and it's, or whatever it is. I lost my train of thought. I thought I had a really good like metaphor there, but it completely left me. So I'm just going to pretend like that didn't happen.
We were dancing with you. We knew you were there.
I didn't, and that's okay. But it's like checking in with your team. We have 2 assistant managers, and Kirstin actually just brought on a director of sales, which is amazing because, as you know, in a small business, your role, you wear multiple hats, and you have to be ready to adapt to wear those multiple hats. So I think that I even have some people from other franchises reaching out being like, how do you do it all? Like, how are you managing 2? I'm stressing with 1. I'm like, you have to be okay that you won't do everything perfectly, but like show up with the best that you can, like every single time. Like my dad always says, just like hard work and a positive attitude is the best thing you can do. And as far as making sure things get done, I mean, people call me Swiffer Sarah. Like a clean studio makes a difference. And sometimes that means like you're the one picking up the Swiffer and sharing, hey, do you guys see like the dustiness on the floor? Like, let's use our eyes to make sure the studio is clean. And knowing that like no job is beneath you to keep a studio cleanly. It made me so happy, Mandy, that you shouted out the clean studio, because that's like it's in my soul. And clean studio, I'm like, it makes a difference.
Well, it does. And I travel the world, and I'm always working at some studio wherever, and like the smell, and you're on the ground. I think I was at a yoga studio this weekend in Santa Fe, and it was very small. And you're on the ground, and I noticed just how clean, like the little crevices were between the yoga mats. It matters when you're asking people to lay physically on the ground, or you're coming in and you're with your shoes, and then your hands are where your feet are. Like all of that really matters. So I'm glad it's very clean studio.
I'll share a win from last week, Sarah.
Oh yeah. My brain went a lot of different.
I think one of the things that we're playing around with, and the brand itself is playing around with, is that PVOLVE is kind of unique. I think you take one class and you kind of walk out being like, what the heck just happened? So we're really trying to balance people's first exposure, and how do you see all that we can offer in such a short amount of time? And so we last week started running intro classes. So we've really been promoting those lately, and taking the first 40 minutes of your exposure to our brand and walking you through, like, bringing it back to the foundations, showing you some of those movements. How do you load the glutes? So that you're not kind of just thrown in and a little bit lost. I think it sets you up for success for future classes, to spend those 40 minutes learning about all the pieces of equipment, about all our formats, about the foundational moves, so that when you come back, you just feel a little bit more prepared. So the response to those classes has been really promising, and that's the link that I think you guys are putting across the screen. And they're complimentary for first-time residents. So just trying to get people to see what PVOLVE is all about. And then you'll fall in love with it like we did.
I love that. I want to hang here on the business side of this, because you just mentioned this. So, Kirstin, you just hired a director of sales.
Mm-hmm.
What are you hoping the director of sales does for you? Is this an individual thing? Is this a group thing? Is this a community partnerships thing? Like, what are you hoping the director of sales can do for you?
I think it's more focused on, again, I think like the brand, like PVOLVE is such a new brand that we're all just kind of trying to figure out how this all works. And we were kind of coming off of a strategy where we were just trying to open it up to everyone and like just get people in. And taking the strategy more of like maybe a free trial, like get more people to just go for volume, get people to come try it, and they'll fall in love with it. But I think what we're realizing with PVOLVE is it's unique in a good way. But I don't think that it's not really something that you can like try out once and be like, oh, I'm hooked. Or like, so the free, that free strategy, then switching to paid, doesn't necessarily always work. I mean, like you got hooked on it. So I think like some people can.
I would have paid too. Like, I would have paid for my first time. I don't know if that helps you.
But like,
but
I'm sure you've seen people, if you've asked people to come try it and they walk out and they're like, I don't know that I really get that. Like, what just happened? So that's where I've brought in some expertise. We have a director of sales to kind of bring it back to the membership basics, and really have people like create a habit with PVOLVE, and kind of get rid of some of the like one-off drop-ins where you're not really gonna understand fully what's going on. So that's kind of like her initiative to grow that area.
I love that. So some sustainability and some long-term membership.
And really like, and me personally, I'm starting to get into the hospitality element of things. Like, if people are, I think that there's so many options right now. You can go on ClassPass to a million different studios. You can work out from home. You can get some killer workouts from home. If you're choosing to come to my studio and you're choosing to buy a membership with us, like, I want to do the little things. I want to make it worth, like, I really appreciate that you're taking the time to do that. So that's one area that we're really getting into. I think right now, like, I think we always do it. I think the trainers do a good job of it just naturally, but like trying to streamline like birthdays and celebrations, and you had a like great win at work. Like, I think that the trainers, they're so funny, the information that they get, like, I don't know, you just have such a personal relationship with the trainer, even though it is a group class, like, they get to know you. So finding a channel to share that and have us celebrate it, that's like, so that's the direction that I want the studio to go to.
I appreciate that. Oh, you're gonna say, Sarah?
I was gonna say, I joke with some members that I see them more than my family. So because they're coming in so often, I'm like, yeah, I've seen you more than my sisters this year. Like, I love it. But I think that's why we hear updates and the small things, and yeah, we want to celebrate them. But back to you, Mandy.
Well, no, back to you. You, Sarah. But Kirstin, I'm happy to hear you say that, because I think a service first selling mentality isn't just for a hotel or a restaurant or a bar, right? 100%. Like, if you're running a business where you're going to see people consistently, and sometimes it's their darkest days, right? Like, People are coming to you because they were injured, or they're coming to you at 6 a.m. in the morning. Like when I see you, they're literally, and it is dark outside. Like they're coming to you in a very vulnerable state, and to adapt that service culture to it and really get deep and get personal. I think that's so spot on. So I'm excited to see, I'm excited to feel what that looks like, because it's that service as sales is more than just for hospitality. It's for anytime you've got a recurring customer for something. So that's awesome.
Okay. So I had a question. I don't want to forget them, but my question was, oh shoot, damn it. Okay, so when you're looking at your competition, one thing we study in school is that people look at Netflix. They ask, okay, Netflix, what's your competition? And the common answer is like Hulu or Disney Plus. But in actuality, their top competitor is screen time. So what I'm going to ask you is, who and what is your top competitor?
I think it's just people's free time, I would say, is our competition, like getting them to prioritize. I think a lot of people say, I have this goal, whatever their goal might be, whether it's to feel better, whether it's to look better, whether it's, for me, I work out for my mental health. If I don't get in there for a week, like I start to, like, I just get more anxious. Everything just kind of annoys me a little bit more. But it's competing with, there's so many things that people can do with their free time, and it's getting them to prioritize coming in so that they can achieve that bigger goal.
Sarah, what
Nailed
was
it.
your...
Yeah, I mean,
Nothing.
Mic drop.
I was like, yeah, I really don't have much to add there. Yeah, time. So that's the biggest thing. It's just like, oh, I'm too busy. And it's hard to prioritize yourself. I mean, I'm even on a journey with that. Like I, as someone who was in school full time, had a full-time job, and then started teaching PVOLVE. Like I just wanted to fill my time. Then it's like, how do you then prioritize your time and take care of yourself? And I think that's, the biggest challenge for a lot of people.
Okay.
But we're here to help you prioritize your time.
We're here to help. Okay. And my next question is, like, you've probably seen thousands of people come and work out over, years and years. Why do you think there's so many people that start to work out and then they just stop and they never stick with it? Why do you think that's the case? Because that's such a common occurrence, particularly here in the United States.
I don't know. Everyone's goals are different, so that's hard to like pinpoint. But I think that either you stop for whatever reason, you get distracted by something else, and you forget how it makes you feel. Mm-hmm. And you're now in this new reality where you forget how your head was clearer and you were less anxious, or that you could get up the stairs without being out of breath. You're just in this new reality and you forget. And I also think, I think that's it. I had another thought, but it left me. Kirstin, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think it's just, I think people maybe lose their routine a little bit, and then like I find it with myself, like you just want to, oh, well, I'll just move on to the next thing. But I think with PVOLVE specifically, like sticking with it and go, like Sarah said, going back and remembering what drew you to it in the first place, and being okay with missing a week. Or my son went through a sleep regression. Like I didn't make it into the studio, but you just have to recognize, almost plan for those things to happen. And then not be so hard on yourself. Just get back in there.
Yeah. Grace is so powerful. I love that. I want to ask about location. So as a franchise owner, you've got one location at the UTC Mall, Westfield Mall, and you've got another location in that beautiful plaza in Del Mar. How much did selecting a location go into this, or did that just fall in your lap? And then I've got some other franchise questions after this.
I think La Jolla being the first one was intentional, that it was in Westfield UTC, because the brand was just so new that we wanted to make a splash. There's so many people walking by UTC. That space itself is big. It's beautiful. It's like a flagship. I think it helped us put us on the map. And then Del Mar, is a lot smaller. So the studio itself is around the same size, but the lobby and everything is just way smaller. So it's really more of like your neighborhood PVOLVE. I think that Del Mar Highlands complex has so many great co-tenants, like everything you could possibly want to do, you can get there and get there quickly. Because I think at Westfield, there's lots there, but you plan your day there. Like, I'm going to go there, and then except if you go in the morning, you can really get in and get out.
You do get in and get out really fast there.
Yeah, in the morning it's fantastic. Or I guess I should say like off mall hours. But if you are going during those mall hours, I mean, you can plan to just go hit up Nordstrom's or get some shopping done, or tackle a few things off your list in one go. So that was really the intent between why we picked the spaces we did.
Awesome. I love that. So when you're looking at future franchises, is the square footage of the studio or availability of parking or the community building potential of the other tenants, does any of that go into the future? Like, what do you know now that you wish you know then about like when you're looking at future?
I think what I wish I knew is that the space itself didn't need to be as big, and maybe really thinking more about your revenue generating like factors. Because I think La Jolla itself, its locker room is a bit too big. I just think the overhead space in La Jolla, I mean, like, it's great that you have so much space, and I think the space itself is beautiful, whatever, but it's just a little bit too big. So that's definitely one of the things that I'm looking at, like, and parking, I think at La Jolla again. I mean, if you go in the morning, it's great, no complaints. But when I opened that space, there were no other tenants in that side of the mall. Whereas now,
because it's a newer space. Yeah.
Oh man, you just want to pull your hair out. But I think we build the schedule, like, we know now it's been 2 years. We've started to build a history of like when the mall's going to be a little crazy, and we, like, Black Friday this year, we actually didn't even run any classes at La Jolla because it's just that place is madness. So I think factoring those things are definitely in my consideration, or I'm taking those things into consideration as I'm looking at expanding. And I think some of Del Mar, I've been very happy with, like, the parking, and I know it's a bit small, but it's tighter community. So learnings there.
I love that. And then last question from a franchisee standpoint, like from a modeling standpoint, if you have people in the audience thinking about, well, I might do a food and beverage franchise, I might do a wellness fitness franchise, like what benefits does somebody looking to be a franchisee, what do they get out of this? Like, what do you think is a great advantage of making this type of investment versus making a different type of investment?
I think that the support network that comes with a franchise and just the manpower, I would say particularly in the marketing department, has been really helpful. And like having, like, there's a whole creative team that we can send ideas to. I think to keep it a balanced discussion, that can also be a little bit annoying because there's like more, there's more people involved, so things don't happen as quickly. Like, I'll have an idea and I want to action on it immediately, and it will be like, well, this person doesn't have time to look at it right now. So I think it does go both ways, but the product, like, PVOLVE has done a great job at like the product, like the workout itself, and the training, and how they keep on top of like new emerging fields, like all that stuff. And that's the area that Sarah runs with. That whole side of it is very supported, and it's awesome. Like, they come and do audits of our trainers. Like, the product itself is dialed, and then I get support on the marketing. So those two things are really helpful.
Awesome. Okay. And then Amani, I promise, last question, because you just said something that brought it up. When you get into the franchise machine, do they make suggestions on your POS system and your social platforms and your website platforms? Do they make suggestions? Do you have a bucket of things to pick from them? Do they have like a economies of scale global partnership that you can buy from, like a procurement kind of thing? How does that
I think it depends. I think each franchise is different. Our franchise is quite prescriptive on those things. So we don't have control over our website. We don't have really control over the POS. We, like, technology wise, they give you a list of technology that you need to be using. I think For me specifically, I'm quite tech oriented. So I think I at times get frustrated with some of those roadblocks, but at the same time, it's kind of helpful too to be narrowed down, because I feel like there's an infinite number of options for some of those things. And so to have like more of a short list of pre-vetted options, as frustrated as I might get at times, I think it is ultimately helpful. Otherwise, you can just get lost in the world of service providers.
That's good. It's good. And there's probably like, if something breaks for you, it's not just your studio. It's like, I'm with people. I'm with this larger, like, piss off me, sure, but not this big company. Sorry, Imani, I swore twice. But like, but there's probably a little more accountability on that too.
Yeah. Just being and you can get them to help push fixes that you need faster, because it's not just me as a small business. It's my network that needs this, and we need it quickly. So that part's definitely helpful.
That's awesome.
All right, so we're going to let Sarah start with this question next from the audience. First of all, Tanya, she says that she was interested in doing a collaboration with Fit City Adventures, so we'll make sure to connect you all with Tanya. And then Kelly Lester, thank you for tuning in. Sorry. Yes, me too. Absolutely. It's okay. Kelly asked, do you find that forging those meaningful relationships with clients creates more longevity and greater quote unquote return on investment with more repeat customers? How has that changed things for the franchise, if at all?
Good question, Kelly.
I think so. There's this thing that I saw on TikTok where it's like everyone's finding their third space that they go to. They have their work, their home, and their third space might be a gym or a coffee shop that they frequent often, or a breath workplace, wherever it is. And I think that building community allows us to be a place that people not only feel like they have to go to hit their goals, but they want to go because they know they're going to get connection. They know we're going to check in on their foster dog, or the fact that they are going, like trying to get into nursing school, or just recently had a baby. We see a lot of people through life changes, and they know we're here for them. So I think it makes them excited to come back and support retention goals, and support of our retention goals of like keeping people in the studio. And I think like the biggest reason why people don't stay is because they're moving somewhere else, which is nice. Like, and not in comparison, but like our cancellation rate is a little bit lower than the average for fitness studios. So I would like to say that it does. It contributes.
Awesome.
Okay. We're going to flip the script now and allow you both to ask myself and Mandy a question. You want to ask, what question do you want to ask, and who do you want to ask a question to first?
And who goes first? Because we got two first here.
Well, yeah. So
Kirstin,
yes, we'll let.
I mean, okay, Mandy, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I mean, kind of a selfish question, but just given your like sales background and everything, I think one of the things we really struggle with is like, how would you describe PVOLVE, or like how would you in like not a salesy way, but like, you know what I mean? Like how would you describe it from a sales perspective? And like how do you to other people?
You know, it's funny. I'm going to take my sales hat off, and I'm just going to put my member hat on.
Okay.
I mean, I describe it as a functional fitness class that's life-changing, or a life-changing functional fitness class. That's how I feel it is. And then if I put the sales hat back on, my best suggestion is, if you bump into somebody in the produce aisle at a grocery store that you haven't seen in a while, so it's like a friend, a coworker, or somebody you haven't seen in a while, how would you describe it in 15 seconds or less? Like, and pretend this person's never worked out before. So like, I always encourage business owners to forget about the elevator pitch. That's silly. No one ever talks to each other in an elevator. What's your produce aisle pitch? Like, what's your, like, what do you do for a living? Why are you here? I haven't seen you in a while. 15 seconds or less pitch, and practice it. And then ask your partner, you know, how do they describe what you do for work? Because if you can get your partner who has nothing to do with your business to actually explain what you do succinctly in 15 seconds or less, then you've really, really got it. So try it, your produce out, but then make the people you love explain it. And then you'll really have it
I like
dialed in.
that a
There's
lot.
going to be a lot of iterations of the produce outfit. So I would start
Yes.
there.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah. Great question.
Bonnie, I have a question for you. Are you gonna go try PVOLVE?
And this is for me being Amani going to go try PVOLVE. Yes. Yes, I will. Do you have a location? Do you have a location in Vegas?
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. That's a good question. I assumed
Well,
you were in San Diego. So you live in Vegas?
yeah, no, because you Vegas or Southern California, because I go back and forth between both places, so it can be Vegas or LA. So maybe there could be some potential travel to San Diego coming up soon, WeCon, Mandy. So maybe we can arrange for a visit during WeCon. So we'll see like late April, early May, but I'll definitely try it. What's the breakdown in terms of male to female people that work out and use Evolve? Talk to us about
This
that, then
might
I'll ask my
benefit
final
you.
question.
This could
I was
benefit you.
waiting
yes.
for that question. I asked this on purpose just for you to respond with that. Okay, we're focused on the women. Like our clinical studies are based off of women. We're trying to fill a gap for women in the big fitness industry, but PVOLVE is for everyone. And we do have a handful of male members who have athlete backgrounds and are like, this has changed my tennis game, and they have a different experience with PVOLVE, which is cool. But we're for everybody, every person. But you will see more women in the room than men most of the time. But there's a handful. There's a few.
Good morning. I think that there's more women in the room. I think that works for you, Amani.
Okay, that works for me. Yes, we're going there to work out, not to pick up on the single ladies. However, I am a former soccer athlete, so that can help me too. So that can work. My final question, which is my favorite question that Manny knows is coming, and I'll start with you, Sarah, and then we can go on to Kirstin, is if you could go back to right when you're leaving college and give your younger self some advice based on everything you've been through so far in life, particularly, working in the franchising world and having the courage to go out on your own, what advice would you give your younger self? And we'll start with you, Sarah.
This is a fun one. I didn't have a traditional college experience. I did everything online, so it's fun to think. I'll just think back to like younger self. Is that like everybody's path is different. You can have such an expectation of what you think your adult is going to look like, but you can have every chapter is going to be different. You can have curveballs, and like not one way is better than the other. I used to work for Lululemon, and there was so much. I'm like, oh, this is a big company. I've been here for 10 years. There's so much security there. And like then switching to a small business, it was just different. And I thought it was one was better than the other or because of XYZ, but like everything's just a big journey and you have to be open to where life takes you and like trusting that every experience that you have, you're going to learn from it and get something from it. So yeah, not being so stuck to a script, I should say.
Yeah, well said. Okay, on to the next.
I would say trust your instincts. That's what I would tell my younger self. I think I'm inherently a people pleaser, and I'm really quick to like hear a new idea and be like, oh, that's a great idea. Like all in, let's do that. And I put other people's suggestions higher than like my own experience. And I like just trust yourself. Like you've built this toolkit, and you can take other people's suggestions, but don't be afraid of confrontation. Don't be afraid to say no, and just trust what you feel in your gut.
Love it. Mandy, over to you to close us out.
All right, I have two closers. My first question is running a business is all about caring for your team and caring for your customers. And it is so easy to forget how to care for ourselves. So, Kirstin, I'll start with you. What are you doing to care for yourself? And I hate the word balance in business because there is none, like in the reality There is none. What do you do to care for yourself? What are you doing to make your health or yourself, your personal well-being as important as how you're telling your customers to make it?
Well, that's easy, Mandy. I just get into PVOLVE classes.
I
I try to go twice a week. And it makes me feel better. It gives me energy. It keeps me grounded. So that's an easy one for me.
I love that. You just go to the studio. That's
Just
cool.
get in class.
That's great. What about you, Sarah?
For me, I am trying to just dive into like learning other things. I'm in a blood sugar course. I've like never prioritized like learning for fun. Even just using downtime, I have a habit of filling my day, and like since I was a kid, like this morning till night, I have something planned. So for me, recently, it's like being enjoying slow times and doing small things to set me up for success, so I don't feel chaotic throughout my day. I actually am setting myself up by like getting up an hour earlier so I can have a cup of tea before I just like get on the computer and do whatever I have to do. So just small little habit changes and prioritizing learning for fun and getting into different things to just better myself.
Managing your mornings is so powerful. That's so cool.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
That's so cool.
Not a morning.
Oh, well, sounds like you're getting there. Sounds like you're getting there. Okay, final question. How can we support you? How can we lift you up? What can we do for you? You've spent an hour of time with us and with our audience. How can we support you?
I think just keep telling people about the workout that you have, Mandy. I think the more people we can get in the class, the more this brand will continue to grow. And I mean, like we love it. We just want to share. We just want to share this workout with the world and scream it from the rooftop.
Yeah.
So that's
I would say
That's
get
awesome.
in class and bring a friend.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's easy peasy. And then for those of you that are
Okay,
watching,
we'll be there.
yeah, if you're watching on the scroller ticker, you can follow PVOLVE San Diego at PVOLVE San Diego, or you can click the link, and the link will be in the show notes too if you're listening. The PVOLVeSanDiego.zapier.app/intro classes, and that's a way you can just sign on to take your first intro class too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we just want to say thank you both for appearing on the show, and we can't wait to continue to watch the progress as the brand continues to grow. I will be eagerly anticipating my first visit to the studio. We have to make sure you're both there, so we'll figure that out. Mandy will be my guide, and just
April 30th. April 30th.
keep
Monty,
keep
I'm marking your calendar.
I'll be there.
marking my calendar. Yes. Okay. And just thank you very, very much. And we will continue to watch your progress and success.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank
so
you
we
for
will put
having
our
us.
applause here. We do our applause here. Yes,
Thanks
we
for
do
being
that.
here.
And we're going to put you back
It's
in the
so
green
good to
room
see
really
you.
quickly. Give us 1 minute here and we'll do that. Okay. Mandy, another fun. That was very interesting episode. The franchise aspect that we could have talked to them for a while. So thanks to our guests from PVOLVE. Who and what do we have to look forward to next week, Mandy?
Amani, we've got Gavi. His name's Gavi Wolf, and he is the founder and CEO of a really interesting company called Indie Walls. He's an art purveyor, and he does some public art and private art. It's supposed to be super interesting. He's a stranger. I haven't met him. He was suggested to us by a previous guest, and I saw him on LinkedIn. He looks really fascinating. So yeah, we're gonna learn a little bit about public and private art spaces next week.
All right, let's go. So please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on the platform you're watching or listening on. And don't forget to leave us a review, share the podcast or the live stream. And with that, we will see you all next week for another exciting episode.
See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.